Great. So welcome everybody to making Cloverleaf stick, developing leaders and driving team buy-in. So let's go. We're going to dive right in and I'll talk about what we are going to cover today. So we're going to talk about a big challenge that a lot of us have. We're going to talk about why tools really sometimes fail to stick. And what is the opportunity when Cloverleaf really starts to work? We'll talk about gaining buy-in with Cloverleaf. How do we understand the needs of different populations, like executives, people leaders, employees, individual contributors, and we'll talk about how you can craft effective messaging. If you just joined us, we'll make sure that you also have your resource. It's in the chat, Jason, if you want to share it again. We will also talk about implementation strategies. So we're going to talk about very specific things you can do to integrate Cloverleaf into leadership programs, training sessions, performance reviews, and even coaching, just everyday coaching conversations that leaders may have with individual contributors. We'll also talk about how do you keep the momentum? How do you keep Cloverleaf a daily habit so that it's actually ongoingly creating value for your organization? Then, you can ask questions as we go along. Jason will be in the chat. We're going to invite you to give us feedback. So every single webinar that we do comes from your feedback. We will actually take it and analyze it and say, how can we touch on as many things as we can that people need and create it in a cohesive webinar? So we actually Jason and I sit in a meeting and after our webinar and we look at all the feedback, and that's how we create these. So it is so important. Your voice is so important in giving feedback to us. We will also share with you some extended opportunities to learn and develop yourself or members of your organization to leverage Cloverleaf even more. If you have questions, please use the chat. Yes, we'll be recording this and the recording will be in the resource link. This is the resource we are using today. So everything that is going to be on my slides will be in the resource here. So you can follow along. You can also, if you want to be in your Cloverleaf account, if you want to do that as well, you can do that if you want to click around. Okay, so first of all, we're going to do a quick poll. We want to see who's joining us here. So if you could just tell us your role, which role best describes you. So are you a senior or C-suite talent or learning leader? Are you a director or manager level talent or learning leader? Are you a manager of a team? Are you an individual contributor? Are you a coach or a consultant? Let us know what role is the role that best describes your role in your organization. So just click right there on your answer and let us know. A few more people here with us just now. Excellent. All right. It looks like our biggest group is our director, manager level talent and learning leaders. So if you want to share that poll, those results, you can share that. Great. All right, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your role with us. That helps us. Excellent. Okay, so let's dive right in. Okay, and Jason, you can hop in the chat and just help all our people. Okay, so why tools often fail to get traction? Why do they fail? Well, the first thing is people just think, hey, it's another platform. Employees see this as something else I have to log into, and it's not integrated into daily tasks. The other thing is leaders aren't sure how does it actually fit into how we're developing our people. So there's an unclear alignment into a wider strategy. So there's unclear alignment into some kind of wider development strategy. The other thing is there's no concentrated effort into how we help people make it a habit. Here's the thing. You can't just give someone a gym membership and hope they go, right? There needs to be some kind of actual accountability, some reinforcement, some encouragement, some modeling from leaders, from talent leaders, from people that are running programs. There needs to be prompts, right, to encourage people or to hold people accountable, right, for using the tool. And this isn't in a way of we don't want to punish people. We don't want to make people feel bad that they're not using the tool. We want to help people understand the wonderful things that happen when you use the tool. This is sometimes why tools don't often stick. So the opportunity when Cloverleaf works, when you're using Cloverleaf and an organization or a group of people is using it, you've got engaged leaders who actually are able to communicate effectively because they're doing it in a customized way by understanding individual needs and team needs. You also have teams who are more conscious of each other's needs and ways they like to communicate. They're leveraging each other's strengths on a more regular basis because they're consuming small bits of content about one another that's helping them become more self and other aware of how they can collaborate. And what starts to happen is this culture of feedback starts to take root. And we're naturally engaging in giving helpful, positive, and constructive feedback. So I have a question for you. I want you to share in the chat. What's a challenge you've faced when rolling out new tools or leadership initiatives? What's a challenge you've faced when rolling out a new tool or some kind of leadership initiative? What happens? What do people say? What do they do? What's a challenge you've faced when rolling out new tools or leadership initiatives? So take a moment and pop it in the chat. What's a challenge you've faced? No time, poor follow-up, resistance to change. They're not engaged. Not another thing I have to learn. I don't have time. The time and strategy to develop buy-in. Okay, top-down approaches versus collaboration to ensure effective rollout. Excellent. These are good answers. Initial resistance to change, no follow-up, right? We just throw you this thing, no follow-up. They complain, time. Lack of consolidation, time, actions. Other initiatives take priority, engagement. Getting buy-in at the top of everything else that is going on, ego. People are so busy with everything they do. They don't have time to focus or edit. It's another thing. Complaining, acknowledging the need. Tell me why. Tell me why I have to do this. They don't see the benefit. It's another thing for them to do. Again, why? Why do I have to do this? Not enough time, resistance, right? Grumbling. They think it's just another HR thing. Oh no, HR, right? There's no who we used to do this, or this is how we used to do things. Or they may wonder what's the real reason something is being added. Oh, so they don't trust. There's a low trust environment, right? So you can all see, or lots of enthusiasm at first, no follow-up, right? So you can all see the similarities in the answers that are being shared here. So you don't all feel alone. You can see that each other is experiencing these things. Okay. So how do we gain buy-in? I'm going to give you the script, positioning Cloverleaf for leaders and teams. So you have to understand what each of these groups cares about first. And now remember, this is all in your resource. So just know that I'm not telling you anything that's not right here. Okay. All right. First of all, executives, they want numbers. They want teams to do better. They want stronger leadership pipelines. What does that mean? They want more people who are going to stay in their organization, who are going to give back, who are going to become leaders. That's what they want. They want the data. They want team performance to go up. They want more leaders, they want more high potentials. People leaders, they need support. If they've got a hybrid team, if they have a remote team, if they just have a difficult team, they need support to be able to coach effectively without, don't make me go to a 3-day training. I don't have time. Then I'm going to come back to a 3,000 emails. Don't take me out of my workday. Just help me understand how to deal with these people right now without taking me out of my life, without disrupting my life so much. And employees, they want to work better with their teams. They want more feedback, right? If you ask I do a lot of engagement surveys in organizations. People want more feedback and they want it more often. Okay. And often leaders don't always know how to give it or what to say. And Cloverleaf offers you direct feedback on how to give that feedback. Okay. So employees want more interaction. They want more meaningful interaction, and they want to get along with the people in their work groups. I mean, who wants to be miserable at work? If you want to be miserable at work, that's another webinar. Okay. So employees want that. And so we have to know what's important to these groups of people. So now you've got to craft your messaging. Again, this is all in your resource. If you want to help get executives on board, if you don't have your executives on board and you want to get them on board, you want to get buy-in, you've got to let them know, hey, Cloverleaf actually provides ongoing automated insights. It helps leaders develop stronger, more self-aware teams. When teams are stronger and they're more self-aware, guess what? They get more done and they're more productive. If I'm more aware of your strengths and you and I can work better together, we're going to get more done faster together. For people leaders, Cloverleaf is going to help you understand how you can coach specific people. So I'm not going to just tell you as a HR business partner or as a trainer or as your leader, I'm not just going to tell you, oh, well, you should just be better at communicating with people. I'm going to give you access to this tool that's going to help you customize your communication with each individual person, because I'm going to provide you these customized insights to each individual person on your team. Now, for employees, if you want to work better with your team, instead of you going to this 3-day training on communication skills, Cloverleaf is going to help you understand your strengths and collaborate more effectively. Now, I'm not knocking trainers. I'm a trainer for a living. I'm training you right now. I'm just saying that training is not always the answer, okay? Sometimes you can train someone on a generic topic, but if I learn generic training skills about how to give feedback, if I go to a generic feedback training about how step-by-step how I should give feedback, but really I need to understand how can I give feedback to Noor. I need to understand how I can give feedback to Noor. So I might need the skills of the feedback training, but I need to understand Noor and how she receives feedback. So Noor appreciates mindful tone and delivery, especially if I'm giving constructive feedback. So share ideas for consideration. Encourage Noor to reflect on what's best and trust that intuition. So I'm being given some ideas on how I can approach Noor. So even if I have this STAR feedback model from the training that I went to, that might not necessarily be the right feedback model for Noor. So I have this tool that is going to help me in about 30 seconds, help me understand how to give feedback to Noor. Okay. So if I'm talking to employees, I'm going to give them that tool to understand your strengths and how to collaborate more effectively. So if Noor was my peer, I am going to give you this tool, which is going to help you. Hey, if you have to kind of go into an uncomfortable conversation with Noor, you're going to be able to prepare for 5 minutes before the conversation by using Cloverleaf. And instead of going to that communication training, which may be valuable, but I want to give you this tool as well. So you're going to craft your messaging. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to think, which audience out of these 3 audiences for you right now is the most relevant? Take a moment and craft a 1-sentence pitch for Cloverleaf for yourself, tailored to one of these audiences. So do this for yourself, because if you're struggling to get buy-in from executives, from people leaders, or from employees, pick the audience that's the most relevant for you right now. And whether you have to do it on your phone, do it on a piece of paper, craft your unique 60-second pitch. Now, if anybody would like to share that with us, from your own language and you want to put it in the chat, I would invite you to do that. And again, it's not even 60 seconds. It's really just a 1-sentence pitch. But if you would like to share it in the chat, I would love to hear it. If it's something you want to share. If it's something you want to keep private to yourself, you can absolutely do that. But this is for you to think about, again, which one of these groups is most important to you right now? Executives, people leaders, employees, and what would you say to them that is relevant to your organization right now? Maybe there's something going on in your organization right now. Maybe there's a challenge that your people leaders are having right now that you want to address. Maybe there's a challenge right now that your senior leaders are trying to solve for that Cloverleaf could help with that you want to address. So if you want to share that, you can share that pitch, that little 1-sentence pitch in the chat. If it's something you want to keep for yourself, that's totally fine. I'm going to keep moving. I will come back if I see them in the chat, but I invite you to create that for yourself. All right. So we're going to talk about integrating Cloverleaf into leadership development programs. Now, a leadership development program can be a 1-day training. It can be like I used to lead a new manager program at a large global matrix organization, and it was a 6-month program where they had several modules that they had to participate in. I also lead a coaching skills for leaders program where it's also a 6-month program. It has 12 modules, right? So think of any kind of leadership development program that your organization has. And I know some of you are also coaches and practitioners. Maybe there's a leadership development program that you have or you conduct as an external provider. And you want to align it with key leadership competencies. So any leadership program should be seeking to elevate certain leadership competencies. So for example, a leadership development program may seek to enhance leaders' ability to communicate and also enhance their emotional intelligence, their awareness of themselves and others. It also may be trying to help people elevate their ability to resolve conflict and also to be able to use coaching and feedback effectively. So let's say you were operating a leadership development program that was seeking to strengthen these competencies. So this is a real application example, and this is in your resource. So let's say there was a module called Giving Effective Feedback in one of your leadership development programs. So one of the most challenging aspects of adapting feedback to a person is understanding their preferences and their type. So if you think about Cloverleaf, this is going to make feedback more effective and well received, not just in the way I showed you here, but also let's say you were using the thinking style comparison and you were looking at the different ways that people communicate, the different work style differences, the source of conflict, the reaction to conflict. Maybe you're just looking at two people's different disc styles and you're seeing, wow, this person is a really high I, and this person is focused on connection and collaboration. And this person is, because they're a high I, I'm going to look at what I should do or not do with being a high I. So this says, do create a friendly, relaxed environment. Share ideas and listen. Ask questions to drill down to details. Create a follow-up plan. Don't assign work without chance for collaboration. Don't give assignments that are repetitive and lack variety. So now I understand a little bit more about how I'm going to communicate with Tariq, who's a really high I. He's got 98 I. So chances are these do's and don'ts are really going to help me. Okay. So these are really just tips for you to be able to integrate Cloverleaf into your giving effective feedback module. So you can do the module on giving effective feedback, and then within the module, so for example, when I'm teaching a module on giving effective feedback and people are on Cloverleaf, I will bring them here and I will show them this feature. I will go on to Disc. I will show them how they can search how to give feedback. And then I will say, what's something you could do differently when you're giving feedback in the future? And they'll say, oh, I'm going to schedule 5 minutes before my one-on-one so that I can use Cloverleaf. Oh, I'm going to block my calendar, right? So you're showing them tangible things they can do as you're teaching them the content. And so this is a very simple thing where I show Cloverleaf in all of my training modules, every single training module that I do, because all of the trainings that I do, people are on Cloverleaf. And so I show them, I just taught you this skill. Here's how Cloverleaf is going to enhance them. All right, so I'm going to share some pitches that people shared in the chat. Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. So Sharon is showing about direct reports. So she had a hard time getting direct reports to consistently use Cloverleaf. So her messaging is Cloverleaf will give you an understanding of your strengths and opportunities for your personal growth. But my favorite piece, oops, sorry, the chat's moving. My favorite piece is that it will help you understand how to approach and work with folks from other departments, like your difficult sales managers. Okay, so she's tailoring it to her organization. Awesome, Sharon. Michelle shared her pitch to people leaders. We have a brand new team to get to know. Cloverleaf can help us learn how to best communicate with specific individuals as we get to know them. Since a goal of ours is to develop these employees, providing specific feedback and strategies to help motivate and support them, Cloverleaf can be an excellent tool for us. Excellent. So Michelle personalized this pitch. Great. Lorena shared about people leaders. Cloverleaf offers tools and resources to help you gain insights into you and your colleagues' strengths, work styles, and communication preferences. Great. Nick shared, people leaders, are you tired of trying to inspire people to do what they get paid to do? I got you. I love that, Nick. That's awesome. Good. So you want to put your personal spin on it, right? These are great pitches. Awesome. All right. So I shared with you how you can embed it into a specific module in terms of leadership. Now I'm going to share with you how you can embed it into a program at each stage of the leadership program. So imagine you're about to start a leadership development program. Before the training even starts, before session 1 even starts, I would invite leaders to identify strengths and challenges from their profiles. They can look at their leadership or development insights. So what do I mean by that? If you go to someone's public profile, I'm inviting people to look at their leadership or development insights. So maybe you invite people on day 1 to come with a strength and an area for development that they found on Cloverleaf. That's a very quick pre-work assignment for their leadership development program. You could assign them. The other thing you can do is 2 weeks prior, I highly recommend this. Leadership starts with self-awareness. 2 weeks prior to the program starting, assign the pre-work of doing the coaching reflections 2 to 3 times a week. That they do this, they reflect on themselves and they reflect on their team members 2 to 3 times a week. Assign that for 2 to 3 weeks prior to the program starting. Then what you do is on session 1, you start by sharing the insights in session 1. Now we do this as part of our Train the Trainer program. So we train people and organizations to implement Cloverleaf in their organization. This is a program we offer at Cloverleaf. We do this as a practice challenge. We challenge all the participants to do this for 2 weeks, and you cannot imagine what they share when they come back. They're like, wow, I didn't realize I wasn't using this feature. I didn't realize how much value it provided. So if you want to create pre-work that you don't have to create any content for, just assign the participants to do this. Again, you ask them in session 1, what did you get out of doing that? Oh, I realized all these strengths on my team. I didn't even realize I wasn't tapping into them. I wasn't remembering even to tap into my strength of XYZ. So again, you don't have to create this content. Cloverleaf has created it for you. It's pre-work for your leadership development program. During the training, you can use team dashboards to facilitate discussion. So for example, let's say you are teaching about conflict resolution in your program. You can invite people to go to their team dashboard and say, okay, bring up the person on your team who you struggle to communicate with the most, and actually have them work in a real situation. So let's say Noor is in the program and she's struggling with Riley. Say, okay, bring up, don't tell me who it is. Bring up the person on your Cloverleaf dashboard who you're struggling with the most. What do you notice? What do you think is the crux of the problem? Compare yourself on Enneagram. By the way, for conflict resolution, I always recommend the Enneagram thinking styles comparison because it will actually show you the source of conflict, reaction to conflict, and it'll tell you how the two people can resolve conflict. So you could actually build this into your content as you're, depending on what the module is about. So during the training, you could actually be using team dashboards to facilitate discussion. That could be a breakout. You could pair people up and say, okay, go with a partner and share your insights. Now, after the training, you want to set actions based on insights. So you could create plans for using Cloverleaf features. Maybe you have people create goals and say, how are you going to use Cloverleaf features to plan for one-on-one meetings, for team meetings? And you have each participant create a goal at the end of that program. So what Cloverleaf is your content micro-learning companion in your pocket. You don't have to create all the little activities and icebreakers and all those things. It's going to actually plug right into your already established leadership development program. You don't have to add anything. You don't have to create more content, but these are ways that you can embed it into each stage of that program. Right? So this is a little exercise. Think of one leadership program in your organization. How could you integrate Cloverleaf insights before, during, or after? Write down an action step you can take right away. So do that for yourself. If you want to share it in the chat, I'd love to hear it. But think about what's actionable here. I really want you to get value. This is very much a practical application webinar. So what is something that's happening leadership development wise in your organization? How could you integrate Cloverleaf into it? What's an action step you could take right away? Maybe it's just, I have to reach out to this person and talk to them about it. What is an action step you could take right away to take action on what I'm talking about? And if you want to share it, please feel free to share it in the chat. Okay, and I will come back to the chat after as well. Okay, so we want to use Cloverleaf. You want to encourage people to use Cloverleaf to enhance coaching and performance conversations. So first of all, how can we help people to prepare for their performance reviews with Cloverleaf? Now, I am talking about actual formal performance reviews. So the first thing is you want to encourage leaders to review employees' profiles to understand their work styles and strengths. Now, if you're an individual contributor here on this call, I also want you to encourage you and for your own performance review to also review your own work style and strengths. So what does that mean? That means you go to your own public profile and as an individual contributor or as a leader, you're looking at your work style. You're looking at you're looking at your work style insights. You're looking at some of your leadership strengths. And if you're the leader, you're looking at some of this before you actually get on that performance call. So you're identifying some strengths, right? So you're reviewing that profile to understand their work style and their strengths. And you're noticing any feedback preferences. So you want to learn how they prefer to receive feedback for better reception. So for that, we already showed you that. You might use the insight search. How do they like to receive feedback? You might use thinking styles comparison. So you want to note feedback preferences. How should I prepare my feedback? And then you want to structure the discussion. Again, you might frame conversations in certain ways so that it resonates. So are they that high I? Do I have to create more of that friendly connection? Or are they that high C? Do I have to get right to the point and stick to details, right? And again, you're going to use your Cloverleaf team dashboard for that, right? So if I'm going into a conversation with a high C, I'm going to give a lot of detail and context. I'm going to be exacting in my communication, right? So I'm going to be looking at different ways that I can find out how that person might want to be communicated with. And I'm going to encourage people to prepare for those performance reviews. All right, I'm going to share some of the ideas that some people have shared around integrating Cloverleaf. So onboarding promoted employees and facilitating discussions about navigating personalities and learning styles of new coworkers. So this is a way to incorporate Cloverleaf a little bit more. Anita shared, I've already started a pilot project with several managers at my organization to get them excited and their teams to use Cloverleaf. Was excited that they were enthusiastic about the project. Excellent. So you're going to be like kind of training managers to train other people. That's awesome. Great, Anita. Okay. So there's an example of this in the resource of everything I'm talking about around Cloverleaf and coaching and performance. So for example, imagine you're like preparing for a review and it says in Cloverleaf that the person values direct, no frills feedback. So instead of like doing a lot of sugarcoating, this is giving you a little bit of like a script for how you might say it. Okay. So there's an example here of what I'm talking about. Okay. So next, we want to encourage leaders to just have everyday coaching conversations with Cloverleaf. So what does that mean? Again, check insights in review profiles prior to meetings to understand preferences. You want to use insight search for specific guidance for specific coaching needs. So this is beyond feedback. So what do I mean by this? So if I am going to have a difficult conversation with Reese, I might look at her conflict triggers. I might look at the things that might set her off. Or I might say, what motivates Reese, right? Right. I might ask that question. What motivates Reese? Oh, I'll try this. I'm looking at tips of motivation. What's going to motivate Reese? Okay. So again, and if I go to my dashboard here, I might say, what motivates Noor? Noor, right? Maybe I need to understand what motivates Noor, what drives Noor, okay? So it's telling me a little bit about what motivates Noor, right? So again, there's different questions that I could ask. Maybe I'm not giving feedback to Noor, but maybe I'm trying to understand what kind of work I need to assign to Noor. And this is telling me that Noor wants variety, that there's different things that inspire her. So maybe I'm trying to understand how to engage Noor more. Maybe Noor seems bored. Maybe Noor is asking for more challenges, and I'm trying to tap into that. Compare distinct thinking styles. Similarly, like I shared, before I go into a conversation, I may want to understand a little bit more. Maybe it's someone I don't talk to often, and I want to understand a little bit more about how they communicate. And then encourage regular use of coaching reflections. As much as possible, I love to encourage teams to do little challenges, to do the reflections. Again, when you get the coaching tips for yourself in your email, it's so important to do the reflection when you log in, because you're actually getting a question that's asking you something, that's requiring you to think. And also you're getting that question about someone on your team as well. Okay. So what you can also do is, for helping people to, when performance time comes up, you can create short videos. You can, like I just demonstrated those features. Some people, it goes out of their mind. Make a short, quick video and demonstrate those features, like insight search, like thinking style comparison. Remind them that they have access to those things. You can develop quick reference materials for using Cloverleaf in reviews. If you have a certain resource that you share based on your process, integrate Cloverleaf into it. You can even share help resources like this webinar, like other resources related to the Cloverleaf Help Center. For example, you type performance in here, right? And it's going to give you using Cloverleaf for successful performance conversations, right? It's going to show you a little bit about how you can use Cloverleaf. It's going to give you how to plan out the conversation, right? So if you want to share, you don't even have to create the resources. You could just link these resources in your intranet, in your internal, whatever you use to communicate with your employees. You can just link the resources that we already have. So these are things that you could do to save yourself time, if you want to create some videos, if you want to use things from our site, these are things that you can also do. So you want to also keep the momentum, right? You want to make Cloverleaf a daily habit. So in order to do that, you have to keep the message alive. So for example, you might want to encourage leaders to kick off team meetings with a Cloverleaf activity. So if you missed our webinar on Cloverleaf activities, so these are little activities where you can actually do icebreakers, do informal recognition. Jason, if you get a chance, if you can pop the link to the webinar that we did on Cloverleaf activities, there's also a download in that resource. It's got a recording, it's got a resource in there, but there's also a downloaded PDF about Cloverleaf activities that you can distribute to people in your organization and teach them how to use these little activities. If they can kick off team meetings, they can do, if they're trying to do some kind of team intervention. If you need to learn how to facilitate the activities, you can watch the recording of that webinar and train people on them. So this is something that I encourage you to re-presence in your organization. Do they know about these activities? And so that webinar, that recording, that resource, that download is in a link that we just put in the chat. So encourage leaders to do that. Encourage leaders to use Dashboard Builder for project planning. Again, you can hop on Cloverleaf, you can share a resource from our help center on Dashboard Builder. Like you can come on here and you can do Dashboard Builder, right? So I'll put this in the chat right now, right? I'm going to find it right now. Introducing how to use Dashboard Builder, right? So if you wanted to share this right now with your people in your organization, I'm going to put it in the chat, right? You could share it with them. And what does that mean? How could I use Dashboard Builder? Well, if I really want to understand how I want to put together a project team and I want to do that strategically, well, I'm going to add a few people to this project and I want to see what that team is going to look like if I add it, those three people together. What does that look like? How does that turn out with DISC? I think I need some higher D energy going on here. I need more dominance because this project needs to be driven fast, right? So encourage leaders to be using this for putting together project teams. Okay, so the link that I'm using right now, this is the Cloverleaf Help Center. Someone just asked that. If you ever need to go to the Cloverleaf Help Center, I'll show you how to get to it, and then I'll put it in the chat as well. So if you're ever on Cloverleaf right here, you go to the Help Center. And so I will put that in the chat right now, but that's where I'm searching that. It is always on it's always on the main page. And so you can search that and find anything you need. I did put the Dashboard Builder link and the activities webinar, Jason also put in the chat as well. You also want to, again, have managers before one-on-one meetings, use insight, search, etc., before conversations, obviously, to tailor coaching. So again, pro tip, send your leaders a quick email about Cloverleaf activities. If you look here, I'll go into this right now, what Jason put in the chat, this webinar we did around activities. There is a download here, all the way at the bottom. There is a download, and this is something you can send to people, let them know that it's available. You can also, this goes over all the different uses of these activities. And we also share a little bit of, we demonstrate all the activities in this webinar up here, if you want to watch that. So there's a whole training that we just put in the chat there. Okay, so you want to create long-term engagement. So you want to also identify your Cloverleaf champions, the team members who are embracing the tool. Who are those people? Get them talking, get them sharing in team meetings, right? Get them to share their success story. Set monthly challenges, right? Get people using insights and feedback conversations. Track and share their success stories. So I always say, hey, we're going to do challenge a team to use daily reflections 2 to 3 times a week. We do have a Cloverleaf 30-day challenge outlined in our help center, which I can also share with you in my follow-up email. But if you have a team that wants to create accountability around using Cloverleaf. If you are the leader or you're coaching the leader, hey, create some accountability. Hey, team, we're going to do our Cloverleaf reflections 2 to 3 times a week. And we're going to start our team meeting with you sharing an action or an insight from you using Cloverleaf. And that's how we're going to start our meeting, right? So the 30-day challenge, Jason just put in the chat there. You can also get that there as well. But again, set those challenges. So consider one specific way that you can start using Cloverleaf differently in the next month. I want you to really think about that. I want you to pop it in the chat. I just shared a lot of information with you, a lot of very actionable things. What's one specific thing you could really start doing differently in the next month? And I'm going to ask you to put that in the feedback form too, but if you want to put it on the chat, you can. Okay. All right, questions. And we have some time. I want you to be able to ask any questions at all. Yes, using it to prep before meetings. I love that. Nicola, incorporating Cloverleaf into our new manager trainings. Awesome, Stephanie. I love that. Thank you for spelling your name with the PH. Woohoo. Great. I want you to ask all the questions that you can also, if you have any questions at all.
So there's a couple of questions that came in the Q&A feature. We got some good feedback that right now activities for those that set their role to individual contributors are not available on team dashboard. So noted the feedback there. And then we got two other questions around looks like some trust and then kind of building on the buy-in. So more thoughts on um, maybe convincing that while Cloverleaf, I think like we never want to force it on people, but like it's definitely a tool that can be used from the IC level all the way up to the C-suite that helps people communicate better with each other. So kind of I don't know if you have thoughts on this about Cloverleaf not being useful. If contributors think Cloverleaf is an optional tool and not a required tool to be used in performance reviews. So,
Yeah, no, it's about approach, right? So it's more about helping you prepare, not necessarily it's helping you prepare, basically. It's not something that's going to dictate what you say. So it's almost like it's just helping you prepare and customize your conversation. It's You can say, hey, this is something I'm offering you to help you prepare. It's giving them a resource. Whether they use it or not, that's up to you. That's up to them. This is something that might help you. And you can frame it like that. If you want support or if you're challenged with a certain situation, or if you want to make sure that you tailor your communication to your direct report, this is a tool that can support you. And that's the way you can frame it. Right. So in terms of, so Cloverleaf is not necessarily providing you feedback. It's providing you automated coaching for consideration. So you would be using Cloverleaf think of you're using Cloverleaf as an advisor for how you can craft your own way to communicate with other people. So you still have to do that own development within yourself. You're using it as one of the sources of information. So for example, if I needed to resolve conflict with Jason, Cloverleaf is not my sole source of how I resolve conflict with Jason. I will use my own knowledge of, I'll try to understand a little bit more about the situation. But you're using a little bit of a combination. It's one piece of a resource. It's not everything. So it's a little bit of a combination. So always look at Cloverleaf as one of the sources. It's not supposed to be the sole source of preparing for performance or the sole source of resolving a dispute or the sole source of giving feedback. It's one lens, it's one resource, right? But great questions.